This is Australia's most controversial water project, and it could change life for tens of thousands. In this video, we are going to look at the story behind the Eyre Peninsula Desalination Plant. Why did costs jump from $330 million to $470 million? Who is opposing it and why? We'll examine the environmental, cultural, and industrial conflicts surrounding the site, the technology powering the plant, and the potential risks for local communities. By the end, you'll understand why this project is more than just pipes and pumps. It's a battleground for survival, sustainability, and economic stability in one of Australia's driest regions. For decades, the Eyre Peninsula has depended heavily on underground aquifers, especially the Eyre South groundwater basin, to supply its drinking water. These natural reservoirs were once reliable, providing fresh water for towns, farms, and industries across the region. But years of below-average rainfall, combined with increasing demand, have pushed these aquifers to the brink. The warning signs are unmistakable: lower recharge rates, rising salinity, and a looming risk that the aquifer could no longer meet the community's needs. Enter SA Water with a bold plan: a large-scale seawater desalination plant at Billy Lights Point. The goal is ambitious: to create a climate-independent water source that can support the region well into the future. Originally estimated at $330 million, the project has now ballooned to $470 million, raising eyebrows across government, industry, and local communities. Today, we're peeling back the layers of this complex story. We'll examine why the project was conceived, how it will operate, who supports it, and who opposes it. We'll also explore the deeper questions. Is this solution sustainable, or are we risking far more than we realize? Let's break this down into three clear threads: the problem, the cause, and the solution, which comes with its own conflict. The Eyre Peninsula's water crisis didn't appear overnight. For years, communities relied almost exclusively on the Eyre South Basin, supplemented by other smaller aquifers. These underground reservoirs were once a reliable source of clean drinking water, but over the years, nature has signaled that something must change. The aquifer's recharge rates have fallen dramatically. That means less rainwater is seeping back into the ground to replenish the supply. At the same time, salinity levels have been steadily rising, a sign that the water is under stress. If nothing is done, water restrictions are inevitable, potentially affecting 35,000 residents. Picture this: 35,000 people in towns across the Eyre Peninsula, turning on taps that deliver less and less water, living under looming restrictions, and wondering whether the aquifer will hold through the next dry season. This is not science fiction. It's a very real scenario, and it is precisely what pushed SA Water to consider a bold, high-cost alternative: desalination. The question everyone asks is why the plant is being built specifically at Billy Lights Point. According to SA Water, the location offers several advantages. It sits close to existing infrastructure, including power lines and pipelines, reducing the need for extensive new construction. This proximity allows the project to expand easily, from an initial capacity of 5.3 gigaliters per year to potentially 8 gigaliters. The plant itself will use reverse osmosis technology, one of the most efficient methods of turning seawater into clean drinking water. Initially, the plant will produce around 60 megaliters per day, roughly enough to supply the region's 35,000 residents. The construction contract has been awarded to ACCIONA, a major player in large-scale water infrastructure projects. The plant is expected to produce its first water by the end of 2026. Yet the financial picture has caused a stir. The project's cost has jumped from the original estimate of $330 million to $470 million Australian dollars. That is a staggering increase of over 40%. For taxpayers and local communities, this is no small matter. The question looms: are the benefits worth the steep price tag, or is the region locked into a risky plan that could spiral further out of control? On paper, a desalination plant is the perfect solution: a climate-independent water supply that ensures the Eyre Peninsula never runs dry. But in reality, this project has unleashed a storm of opposition. Local communities, industry stakeholders, and heritage groups have all voiced concerns. One notable example is Clean Seas Seafood, which argues that the site could pose risks to marine life and local aquaculture. Environmental issues are another major point of contention. The plant will discharge brine, the concentrated salt byproduct of desalination, back into the ocean. SEI Water has commissioned studies via SARDI, showing that less than 0.1% of foreign particles would come within 25 meters of the intake pipe. Despite these assurances, critics warn that the shallow waters of Boston Bay, combined with limited tidal movement, could pose unseen risks to marine ecosystems. Heritage and clearance concerns add another layer of complexity. Building at Billy Lights Point required clearing native vegetation and securing approvals from Aboriginal heritage authorities. These steps are sensitive, time-consuming, and fraught with potential legal challenges. Then there is the industry risk. The Eyre Peninsula is home to a thriving seafood sector, including mussels, oysters, and tuna. Stakeholders fear that any disruption to marine habitats could threaten local production, putting jobs and exports at risk. Alternative locations were considered, including Sleaford West, but were ultimately rejected due to higher costs, longer timeframes, difficult geology, and environmental or heritage issues. That left Billy Lights Point as the only viable option, a choice that has intensified debate over whether this project is a necessity or a gamble. Here is the tension in a nutshell. What if the plant's cost is too high, and the site carries too many risks, yet there is no feasible alternative? This question sits at the core of the conflict and drives much of the regional debate. To understand how we got here, it helps to look at the timeline of the project. In March 2023, Billy Lights Point was officially selected as the site. By November of that year, contracts were awarded to ACC Iona, moving the project into the construction phase. The SEI Water budget for 2025 to 26 allocated $155 million Australian dollars to keep the project moving. Early construction works began in 2024, with key infrastructure milestones being steadily completed. What's at stake is enormous. This is not just about turning seawater into drinking water. It is about securing water for tens of thousands of residents, safeguarding the local aquaculture and marine tourism industries, protecting the environment of Boston Bay and Port Lincoln waters, honoring Aboriginal heritage, and supporting regional economic growth. Any delays or failures could have far-reaching consequences, including severe water restrictions and economic disruption. Now for the twist that few are talking about. While the desalination plant is being positioned as a lifeline for the Eyre Peninsula, the rising costs and risks make it a double-edged sword. On one hand, the plant represents a forward-looking, climate-ready solution. On the other, it could saddle taxpayers and local communities with long-term financial and environmental risks. The $470 million price tag raises an unavoidable question. Is this the most efficient use of public funds, or is the region committing to a site that may never fully deliver its promise? Local industry opposition warns that the plant could threaten the very jobs and exports the region relies on. Meanwhile, heritage and environmental clearance issues could ignite ongoing legal battles, potentially delaying full operation beyond the projected 2026 start date. In many ways, this project is a microcosm of modern infrastructure challenges. It forces us to confront difficult questions about climate resilience, cost escalation, environmental stewardship, cultural respect, and community livelihoods. It is not merely a water project. It is a test of how society balances competing priorities in a rapidly changing world. If the plant succeeds, the Eyre Peninsula will gain a secure, long-term water supply. If it falters, the consequences will ripple far beyond taps running dry, affecting the economy, the environment, and community trust. The new desalination plant at Billy Lights Point is ambitious, controversial, and absolutely necessary. It highlights the urgent need for reliable water in a region facing climate uncertainty and dwindling natural reserves. But it also illustrates the complicated trade-offs that accompany large-scale infrastructure projects: financial costs, environmental risks, cultural sensitivities, and community opposition. This story is not just about water. It is about how communities and governments navigate the pressures of modern life, balancing immediate needs against long-term sustainability. The Eyre Peninsula project demonstrates that solutions can be innovative and transformative, yet they are rarely without controversy. If you found this story compelling, hit like and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of infrastructure battles shaping our world. Share your thoughts in the comments. Would you choose a fast, high-cost solution in a risky location or a slower, safer alternative? I am curious to hear your perspective. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more stories that uncover the hidden challenges behind the projects that shape our daily lives. I'll see you in the next video.